Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. With complete coverage of the Utah Hockey Club, this is Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the program here, JJ and Alex. It's the final hour of the show today because you've got Utah Hockey Club coming up. Central Time puck drop for the Nashville Predators. This is the same Nashville Preds team, JJ, that beat Utah in their home finale.
Boo.
And took a lot of the excitement off of these players.
They ruined the night.
I know they're getting all their in-season or their end-of-the-season awards and everything. These are competitors, though. Like, do you think Logan Cooley was excited? Do you think
no,
Logan
that's
Cooley
awful.
is like going out there and they're handing these awards out, and these guys are like,
yeah.
Veggie got the team MVP. We were asking Coach Bear about that because on Friday I was like, hey, how did you think about that? He goes, look, what's awesome about this is these are all player voted. So their teammates are like, you're the best on our team. It's one thing to have the most points on the team if you're Clayton Keller. It's another to have the type of year that Dylan Gunther did. They took home some hardware. But to get the team MVP in this first year that really could have gone totally sideways for the Utah Hockey Club from a goaltending perspective is awesome. Joining us right now on the program, by the way, our show brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Let's jump into the cut here with Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider. Let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And the cut this hour brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships, Dodge, Ram, Chevy, Subaru, Kia, all in Linden and American Fork. And wait, hold on a minute. Don't forget Spanish Fork. Go check them out. Doug Smith, nobody knows cars like Doug. Nobody knows this Utah Hockey Club like Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. Cole, the home finale was ruined a little bit. Our party was spoiled just a little bit. And I say just a little bit because everybody knew that the season was, of course, not going to change in terms of the playoff race and things like that. But this team proved on Saturday night, going down to Dallas and beating the Stars in a game that the Stars needed, that they will just go out there and fight their butts off. And I would assume the next couple games to end the regular season are going to be the same way.
Yeah. Pretty much every guy over the last week or so has just talked about culture and how just because they've been eliminated from playoff contention doesn't mean that culture suddenly goes out the window. And I think that's really important for what they're trying to build moving forward. You know, there's plenty of teams in the National Hockey League that have been eliminated recently or even, for the last couple of weeks who have waved the white flag and just kind of given up. Teams like Chicago and Seattle and, a few teams in the East like Philadelphia, Boston. So for Utah to understand how important it is to end strong, to keep building on what they've been building, and to take that momentum into next season, it's really important. And I think it's also a illustration of, they're dedicated to this process. It's not just a throwaway year for them. They found a lot of success, and they're looking to continue that so that next season they can continue to build off of it.
Yeah, it feels to me like, Cole, one of the best things that this team did all year long, and they did a lot of great things, but they kind of did. Do you view this as well, that they established a culture that's going to lead to more success moving forward? And how did they establish that culture here in this first year in Utah?
Yeah, it definitely was a emphasis for this team in this season. Year 4 of the rebuild with the guys that they brought in, and Ian Cole and Mikhail Sergachev, Oli Mata, Kevin Stenlund. This year was about establishing a winning culture and a championship culture. And obviously, overnight, you're not going to go from, your third or fourth season in a rebuild to suddenly winning a Stanley Cup championship. But, what it does is it starts to lay a different foundation. You bring in guys like Sergachev and Cole who just they won't settle for anything less. If you were to ask Ian Cole today how he feels about missing the playoffs for the first time, I think since his rookie season, which was about 14 years ago, he's not happy about it. But that's what you want on this team. For a long time, the former Coyotes organization was just totally fine with being mediocre, and that has changed since they've come to Utah. And then there was a lot of build up to that in the last few seasons in Arizona with the hiring of Bill Armstrong and them hitting the reset button. Utah is obviously the beneficiary of that process, but they've stayed dedicated to changing the culture, bringing in those guys, and it's begun to spread throughout the rest of the team. Guys like Logan Cooley, if you ask him what he wants to accomplish here, he wants to bring a Stanley Cup to Salt Lake City. If you talk to Dylan Guenther or Josh Doan, these are guys that as well understand what they're trying to build here, and they're very excited for what the future holds.
This team, of course, over the next couple of games, they're not going to change much except for maybe just kind of take some stuff from the offseason that they could, from a winning perspective. But how's the roster change typically in a situation like this? Obviously, it's tough to predict who will and won't be here, when it comes to free agents and, the 1 year signings. And I know people are like, well, Kyler Yamamoto, bring that guy back forever. But, this business is exactly that. It's a business at the end of everything. So how much turmoil do you think there's going to be inside of a roster that I'm sure they want to try to keep a lot of the same culture and a lot of these young guys, obviously?
Are you asking looking ahead to next season?
Yes, because I know that. I mean, I know there are a lot of decisions that have to be made.
Yeah. I mean, the bulk of this team is going to stay the same, right? A lot of these guys are on longer term contracts. The most important thing that they need to do is extend Logan Cooley. But yeah, I mean, you've got young players like Dylan Guenther and Josh Doan that have got more lengthy contracts. You've got Clayton Keller that's locked up for a little while, Mikhail Sergachev that's locked up for a little while, and so really the core of this team, and obviously they extended guys like Oli Mata and Karel Vejmelka. So the core of this team is not going to significantly change, but I think what they're going to do is there's a couple expiring contracts. I believe Nick Bjugstad and Michelli are on expiring contracts. Obviously, Yamamoto's contract was just a 1 year deal. So there's going to be some spots. There's going to be some openings. I don't anticipate that we see Nick Bjugstad. I'm really not sure if we're going to see Carconi either. And, there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, Dmitry Simashev and Danil Boat are coming over to North America. They're coming over from the KHL. The team is working on those contracts as we speak. And so, that, and those guys, when you bring in players over from the KHL, it's not like calling up a player from the juniors or from the AHL or ECHL. KHL players, their management wants to make sure that they're guaranteed minutes in the NHL before they, move across the world. And so, there's two spots that you're going to have to make room for with Simashev and Danil Boat, who are fantastic prospects. I actually was able to chat with Bill Armstrong about both those guys, and these are two players that Utah fans should be excited about and excited about seeing this coming season. Now, they could potentially see some time in the AHL if their transition is not as smooth. So think of Dylan Guenther or Josh Doan where, hey, these guys might need to spend 20, 30 games before they fully are ready. But I anticipate seeing both those guys in a Utah Hockey Club sweater this next season. And they have $22 million to play with. That's big hitter money. That's going to allow them to bring in some really good talent. I don't know how many guys that's going to end up being. It kind of depends on, what does the market do? How do the free agents respond? But yeah, there's going to be some, significant change on a smaller spectrum. Not like roster overhaul, but we're going to see a handful of new players that hopefully, raise the bar in terms of how good this team can be.
And with all that said and how exciting and fun this season was, I look around the Western Conference, Cole, and it is tough. The top teams in this conference aren't going anywhere, and you're wondering, well, Nashville isn't going to be down long. Seattle's got some good stuff going on. And in Vancouver, I mean, they had a disappointing season. What if they bounce back? How do you break through and get in the top 8 in this conference and get that next step of the playoffs? What is the missing piece that would allow them to do that? Or what is missing? Or is there enough internal development on this team that it could make up for that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways that you got to look at this. First of all, how competitive Utah was with how much room they have to improve. They're 87 points, obviously 7 back from that final wild card spot. But if they were able to get 3 or 4 of those overtime losses to go their way, and maybe they don't drop those third period collapses to San Jose and Anaheim, this team is right there. And you have to as well consider the amount of injuries they went through. This team was plagued with injuries, and you guys mentioned it as well. They really had to ride Vejmelka's glove for most of the season. And so, if this team can you're always going to have injuries, but if this team can be even a little bit more healthy a year from now, it's going to make a big difference, especially when you consider how competitive they were. Now, like you said, there's a lot of talent. The West is tough. And, yeah, Utah's arguably in the toughest division in the National Hockey League with Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, St. Louis, Minnesota, Nashville. It's brutal. But I really don't think that they're far away from really establishing themselves as a fierce competitor that can get into the playoffs. Like I said, they weren't overly far this season. You're going to continue to see development in, guys like Gunther and Cooley, Josh Doan, Barrett Hayton's playing the best hockey of his career. Mikhail Sergachev's playing the best hockey of his career. Karel Vejmelka's playing the best hockey of his career. Same with Clayton Keller. And when you start bringing up these prospects, it starts to fill in some of the gaps that this team is missing. I already mentioned Simashev and Boat. Those guys bring a ton of size, and I'm really excited to see what Daniil Boot can do. He stands like 6'8", and he's a forward. Think of Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, those two guys that that were dropping the gloves and laying big hits in Four Nations, or Tage Thompson. A forward with a ton of size who is going to create a lot of havoc around the net. That's going to help. And then, like I said, they have $22 million to go and take a massive swing. And if they can get another player that can produce 70, 80-plus points offensively, that, coupled with everything else, I think is going to make them, a force to be reckoned with.
Cole Bagley, Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. How about tonight versus this Predators team that came in and spoiled that final home game? Can they return the favor tonight?
Oh, for sure. This is a team that I think is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge. They wanted to finish their home schedule strong and win one for the fans. They're up 2-0, and Nashville comes back, ends up winning it 4-3 in a shootout. And so, yeah, I would anticipate. Like I said, there's a culture of winning that they're trying to establish, and they want to finish the season strong. I'm sure that loss is on their minds, and I expect a good response tonight.
And if Calgary wins out, Utah could spoil the Blues' playoff run and knock them out on Tuesday. How much joy would the team take out of that? I know there was no love lost between those teams when they played.
Yeah, that's their playoff game, right?
Yeah.
You're eliminated. It doesn't really mean anything in the long haul. But like I said, they're trying to establish a winning culture. And if they can go in to a season finale and spoil it for a team that, when they played them head to head and, for a lot of the year, they were better than, I don't know that there would really be much else, on Utah's minds other than, all right, we can show people what we're made of. We can, let's finish this season with a win, take that momentum in, and let's go spoil it for St. Louis.
Cole, we appreciate it, man. You've got, of course, an awesome one tonight and then another one tomorrow night. A back-to-back tough end to the regular season for this team. But I think that, there aren't words right now for us to be able to kind of encapsulate the entire effect that this season has been on this area and how awesome it's been to be able to have an NHL team here. I would only imagine that year one is going to make for an awesome year two and into the future.
Yep, it's I've talked to people about it in this way. I've been both surprised and unsurprised with the response from Salt Lake City and Utah as a whole. I've been unsurprised at the way that Utah has shown up for their teams. Right? Everybody knew that. Everybody always loved the Jazz and the Utes and the Cougars. Whoever your team is in Utah, the community shows up. But what's been a little bit surprising is how quickly it happened for the NHL and how beautiful it was. That's really what was on my mind in that final game at home, was just sitting back, taking it all in, seeing Delta Center, completely packed out, thousands of people in the stands wearing, a NHL sweater with the NHL crest in Utah, on the front of that, hearing the chants and the excitement, how the fans responded to certain plays and goals. It's been an unbelievable experience. One I am incredibly grateful for. And I think most exciting part about it is we're just getting started. So it's been a lot of fun, but can't wait to see what they can do in year 2.
Also can't wait. Cole, we appreciate it. And of course we'll keep dipping in here, and we'll get our share of the Stanley Cup playoffs now with a team that we host here in Salt Lake City. They take a little bit of a different meaning here as well. So we'll dip in for those playoffs as well. And you can read Cole's byline at KSLSports.com as usual. Cole, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you again.
Hey, thanks, guys.
There you go. Cole's appearance every week brought to you by the good folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. We will take the break. When we come back, get ourselves an NFL Blitz that will sneak in, and we'll get you ready for more hockey coming up at the top of the hour. You've got your early pregame today as the Predators and the Hockey Club take on one another for the final time this year in the second to last game for this Utah Hockey Club. We'll take this break, and we'll come back. Traffic right now, and much more to come. So stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, you know what that music means. The time of the day for us to be able to chop it up a little bit about the NFL. Before we do, though, on a Monday, on DJ and PK, every Monday morning, you're going to be able to get the Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers play of the weekend. Oh, really? Alex, our producer, gave me a hint as to who the champion of this weekend's play of the weekend could be. I'm shocked. I'm shocked who they picked. All right, especially PK being a part of that. You can dial it up right now, 801-575-ZONE. And courtesy of the folks at the Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers, you can get yourself a Amazon gift card if you know what the play was that they gave out this morning. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. Caller number 12. We're going to hook you up. I love how you got in my ear, too, Alex, like it was an emergency. Like, wait! Even if I didn't know what it was, I'm still going to play along and go, what? It was good, though. Just in case you wanted to know, it was a big play from the weekend. So there you go. Let me move on to some of these. Did I get the phone number out? 801-575-ZONE. There you go. All right. JJ. 8-time Pro Bowl cornerback Patrick Peterson. I cannot believe, by the way, that we're this old, but he is now retiring. Going to retire an Arizona Cardinal. So there you go.
Yeah, but is he going to getting $10 million for the next 4 years in Phoenix, like Mike Budenholzer?
You know what's funny about that?
There's retirement, and then there's retirement.
Yeah. Well, again, the mess that is. Well, listen, our Arizona sports brethren down there in the valley must be going through it, man. They
have a lot to talk about. It's just not usually very positive.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they have an NFL team. Listen to what's going on in Phoenix right now, okay? They lost their NHL team. I can't remember who they lost it to, though. They had to relocate.
Escapes me as well.
Had to relocate somewhere, okay? The basketball team has all this talent and nowhere to go. You look at trends in the NBA, of course, and they had been trending down since probably 3 years ago. When did they go to the finals or this?
Yeah, they lost to the Bucks in 2021.
That's right. So they go to the finals, and then it was just
the year the Jazz had the best record in the league.
And then it was like, okay, then they went, and then they lose in the Western Conference Finals the next year, and then they go 2 years in a row of losing in the semifinals, and then they just totally missed the playoffs this year.
No lottery, no playoffs, no play-in, nothing.
Not good. So Budenholzer just 1 year in. Now, Mike Budenholzer gets fired in a situation like that after 1 year because there's more there than just the lack of the performance in basketball, right? That means people are looking around going, we don't like this guy's culture, what he brings. Right? It has to be something, right?
Lack of belief that he was going to be able to turn this thing around.
And at least you have to do the same thing that they did with Mike Malone, I think, in Denver. And frankly, to an extent with what they did in Dallas with Luka, where you go, yeah, he didn't really fit in. The culture, I mean.
You've got to spin a narrative to make it look like he made the right decision.
He's not a good dude. You're like, all right, okay. So Budenholzer's out.
His body fat percentage isn't low enough.
By the way, the Phoenix Suns are the same guys who fired Monty Williams, right?
Yeah.
Who
they fired Frank Vogel too. This is 3 coaches in 3 years out.
And by the way, guys who are like across like the league are looked at as guys who know how to coach.
Monty Williams won a lot of games in the league. Frank Vogel won a title with the Lakers. Mike Budenholzer won a title with the Bucks.
Not good enough. So who do you bring in suddenly and create something from nothing? Bonkers. All
Patrick Peterson's available.
Yeah, there you go.
He just retired.
Micah Parsons. Here's the thing. Micah Parsons showing up to off-season workouts. I love how that's a story. This is a franchise that is going to struggle forever because the culture there in Dallas is not a good one. And I think Micah Parsons is phenomenal, but when you start to break news that minicamp is graced or your presence is you're gracing the minicamp with your presence as Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a phenomenal athlete. He has not done jack squat. You know why? Because his team hadn't done jack squat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At least he's showing up. Right.
It's freaking weird, man. The storyline is, Micah Parsons shows up to try to win a game. He wants to win next year. What happened the other years?
Yeah, what he suddenly decided that this year was going to be the year they win?
Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. I think a lot of other franchises would be able to build something a little bit better than what we've seen Dallas build from those 3 guys.
The results don't match the talent.
Bonkers.
Right?
Yes.
They should be getting more out of this group.
Very weird. Fine. Not a problem. You're going to get yourself in some real trouble in a place like Dallas when you can't figure it out. But we'll keep you on for a long time though. Why not? Why not?
Jerry seems fine with it.
Yeah. Anyway, let me see here. Next up on the old NFL Blitz. Oh boy, Derek Carr has a shoulder injury, and may require some surgery. The Saints have said that his status is iffy. That's probably the best news they could have gotten.
I think they're going to be looking at a quarterback in the first round. The question is who?
Certainly going to be a lot cheaper than Derek Carr.
Yes.
Right?
And if they're healthy, then they've got one more shoulder than Derek Carr has.
Cam Scadaboo, former running back at Arizona State, has visited with the Browns, the Cardinals, and the Giants. That's a trifecta of teams right there, isn't it?
He's going to get drafted, and maybe a little earlier than people would expect that are draft experts. I think fans are like, Scadaboo's a man.
Do you think he should be drafted earlier than the?
I don't think it really
right now they kind of have
like running back.
3rd to 5th round is kind of where the projections happen.
Outside of the elite running backs, Genty and Amarian, the guy from out in North Carolina, those are the guys that are first-round prospects.
I think you make your point that the second running back in the entire draft, we can barely remember his name.
Hampton? Anyway, those guys are going to go first round, but you've seen the trend with running backs in the draft over the last few years. It's kind of like a dime a dozen thing. And a guy like Cam Scadaboo, who was phenomenal at Arizona State, probably like a third-day guy, maybe a second. Probably not, though. That's second or third round. That's way
he's
high.
Trying to prove to guys. He's trying to prove to guys that, he's fast, and because everybody wants to know if he's got that explosiveness. I think just from a competitor standpoint, you'd want to get a guy like that on your
film. I think they want to figure him out in person, see if he's a guy they want to work with, because he's kind of an odd dude.
Hey, speaking of Browns and odd dudes, Kenny Pickett says, I'm going to the Browns to start. I'm not going there to hang out.
Well, who else would start?
Well,
who's in the quarterback room?
As of Friday, did you see that the Joe Flacco got signed for 1 year?
Oh.
Old man Joe.
That's the answer.
Old man Joe.
I don't think Kenny could beat out 50-year-old Joe Flacco. I don't think so.
I don't know, man.
How about that?
I like that you get out and say those things. I didn't come here to hang out and watch the grass grow. I'm going to be the starter at this team.
Yeah, well, duh.
Nobody is. Well, some people are. At the end of his career, Chase Daniel was like, I'm going to be the hardest working second quarterback on your team. They're like, you don't want to start? He's like, I said what I said. Now give me $9 million.
It's a good living if you can find it.
Oh, if you can make that stretch of just like the guy who's always going to be in the film room, the guy can help out in practice, give you a good look, pay me $1 million and we're good.
That's a good life.
So, yeah, Kenny Pickett, this is his third team in, 3 years?
Yeah. Steelers, Eagles, Browns.
Yeah, crazy. Next up, and to finalize things here on the NFL Blitz. Speaking of Dak Prescott, hamstring still improving. He could play a game right now if he had to. Another weird comment by a Dallas Cowboy.
It's April.
If I needed to start today, I would. Micah Parsons is like, I'm coming to practice today.
Nobody is expected or would be asked to start a game in April because those games don't exist.
Also, guess what?
August maybe, but probably not that big of a deal.
Just say
September's when it matters.
I feel really good right now. I'm on pace, and I'm not just going to be good for August. I'm going to be set. I'm going to be like, it's going to be totally a normal camp for me, and I'm going to get down there. I'm going to play preseason games. I'm there, man. And I'll be 100% by then for sure. And doctors say everything's going great right now. That's what you say. Not, I could play a game right now if I needed to. Still love it, store, but you know.
That tells me it's not 100%.
Well, of course it's not.
That gives me concern, right?
But you don't need to say that right now in April.
Exactly.
This is showing
Maybe
too
there
much.
is concern. Those kind of things can linger.
You're doing too much, Dak.
He's had a lot of leg injuries.
Settle down. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will get you ready for the Utah Hockey Club versus the Nashville Predators. That's coming up. It's a 5 o'clock pregame and then a 6 o'clock puck drop. We will come back. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The biggest name. You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, a shortened edition of the program today. We're going to get you all the way up to the top of the hour here for Hockey Night in Utah. I guess it's hockey late afternoon in Utah. Going to get a 5 o'clock pre and a 6 o'clock puck drop for the hockey club there at the Nashville Predators. Nominate your U Sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit that nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday. JJ and I roll those winners out, and we celebrate the efforts of those volunteers who do an awesome job with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. They get prizes from both of those places. So if you have somebody who you know who does an amazing job, KSLSports.com/contest for those youth sports volunteers in your neighborhood who need that extra recognition. Let me see here. Oh, my. Looks like Villalta is going to get the start in the in goal for
Wait a
the
minute,
hockey
I thought
club.
no days off for Karel Vejmelka. What happened?
23 straight starts for Karel Vejmelka. Veggie doing a phenomenal job. Got to get a look at those young guys.
Well, saving him for that game against the Blues.
That'll be fun. Look, all you have to do is steal a point tonight at Nashville. All right, get yourself to overtime. Fine.
Win the game.
Win it. Why not?
They ruined the home finale.
I know.
Got a payback tonight. Go beat their brains in.
Liam
O'Brien's gonna be out there. He'll do that.
That's good.
He'll take
so
care of
Spicy Tuna will be there. Kyler Yamamoto. Also Josh Doan moving up to the second line with Barrett Hayton and Nick Schmaltz. And you're going to have the third line with O'Brien and Krause and McBain as well. So there you go. Hey, your guy Josh Doan, he's had a pretty good year.
I love him. I love the hustle, this athleticism. The dude works hard every shift he gets. He's been phenomenal this year, his rookie year, and he's just going to get better. This team's so much fun. Great young guys on this team. We talked to Cole earlier today. There's just so much potential. And maybe internal development is enough to get over the hump next year. I think that they're going to use that money wisely and go get somebody that'll help them. But you can't help but be excited about the young players in this roster and the future of this club.
What I like is the idea now that the offseason for hockey, like we're going to be invested. Like last year,
I hope this is the last year we don't have the Stanley Cup playoffs here.
Last year we were, but we had no idea where to put that energy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that next year is going to be awesome. You got 2 games. You got one tonight, one tomorrow night, both on the road. Nashville tonight, St. Louis tomorrow. And so enjoy the last 2 nights of regular season hockey here as we get you ready. Now, we'll be back again tomorrow. Jeremiah Jensen, Alex Kirry, our producer is Alex Napolis. Does a phenomenal job. We're going to be back again. Top of the hour coming right up. You've got yourself some Utah Hockey Club, and the puck drops at 6 o'clock against the Preds. Stay listening right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.